Good morning, everybody, and welcome to week 7 of personal finance. I hope everyone's enjoying the class so far and really just learning a lot in this class. Definitely enjoyed working with each and every one of you over the past 6 weeks so far. Then I'll be obviously interested in working with you guys this week and next week. In Module 7, we're going to be talking about investing in mutual funds and real estate. And mutual funds is one of those things where we have a mixture of stocks and bonds, a lot of different items in there as well. One of the things I like about mutual funds is that it definitely allows us to time our risk. And it's one of those things where we don't always have to have a large number of huge risk to get a return. And we don't necessarily have to have a lot of money in that. So this is one of those things where sometimes mutual funds are the best things for people to do. It's not always the best thing, but sometimes it is. For example, my 401k and my 403bs all are mutual funds. They have a lot of different companies built together on those. I'm not risking something on just going with one certain stock. For example, I'm not just going and saying, hey, let's go in there and go all in with Amazon and then have a potential disaster whenever Amazon has some kind of mishap or something. So there's definitely protection in this, and that's one of the things I like about mutual funds. Another thing you can definitely invest in is also real estate. And I've done a little bit of this myself. My wife and I have owned a condo in Florida, and it was one of those things that did decently well. The taxes on that were kind of crazy, and that's one of the reasons why we decided to get out of it, is because it was definitely very much to manage. From Tennessee to Florida, it was a little bit of a management kind of issue where we kind of had to go down every once in a while and pick up after people and really try to make sure everything was still intact after a little bit of staying away from things. So there's definitely ways of investing in real estate that you actually have to be as hands-on as what I was. And I would recommend that because real estate is one of the best investments you can have. So if you look at the assignments this week, we have a discussion board post as we have every week. And I look forward to really discussing things with you guys during this week. So we're going to talk about the habits of investing, and it's going to cause you to look at Acorns. And there's definitely other options out there to look at as well. So if you feel like being going above and beyond, feel free to go look at some of the other investment options that you possibly might have out there to look at. But Acorns is definitely one of those ones that we can definitely start off with just using your spare change. And that's one of the things I like about it, because you're able to actually use spare change to start investing in something that's going to grow. Many people that I've taught over the years, personal finance, they've been very, very nervous to get started. And it's one of those things where they definitely have kind of been really, really hesitant to put money into something that could go wrong. And if it's just your spare change, many of us round up anyways. If you're anything like myself, I always go round up whenever I'm leaving a tip or something of that nature. If something's like, $19, $19.15, I always go $20, $21, something like that. Usually tip at least 20%, but it's one of those things where I always round up in my head at least and say, okay, well, this is what I'm doing. So if we do that on most of our purchases, we can definitely save money in an account where we can actually start growing and doing mutual funds and stuff of that nature. So it's one of those things where people have definitely used this and not felt as big of a risk when they're doing it. Another thing we have is we have a 7, where we actually go in there and we are answering the questions like we do every week on that. You guys are doing good on that. One thing that I always like to see is I like to see people back up their arguments with different references. Show your calculations if you have calculations in this. Show your calculations as much as possible. I want to see that you know what you're talking about. Because not only is this a class where we're learning personal finance, we're learning kind of how to do finance as well. And I want people to know exactly what they're talking about. I don't want people just to come in and say, oh, well, I took finance. Trying to think of a good way of saying this without saying some words. But I kind of just mimicked my way through things, I guess you'd say, is a good way of saying that. And just got through it. No, I want everybody to understand kind of personal finance and kind of how to figure things themselves. I'm not necessarily interested in you guys becoming mathematicians, but it's one of those things I'd like for you to understand the basic concepts of finance whenever you leave this class so that you can do, figure your checkbooks, figure out how much interest you're going to have, stuff like that. That's very, very practical, and those are things that I really want you to learn. Definitely help you out in the future outside of this class. So those are the things we have to do this week, and this is kind of my quick rundown of things. So I'm going to get off here, but if you guys have any questions or need anything from me, feel free to reach out. Thanks. Have a great day.